We're just walking with him right now, but you can tell the temperament of this dragon. You know, he's hungry. If I get close enough, he's definitely gonna chomp into me with those giant teeth. Alright, so this is part 2 of our 2-part series based around the Komodo archipelago. Now, in part 1, we got some of the craziest footage, you know, finding a recent kill, a buffalo that had been taken down by these big dragons, and to have 12 dragons right there out in the wild, and to get it all on camera, to be up close to these big 2-3 meter dragons is the coolest thing, and that's the reason why we came here. But the funny thing about it is we haven't even made our way to Komodo Island yet. The reason why we're not there right now is because these dragons won't be doing anything. They're most active during the early hours of the morning, just as the sun's coming up, and the late hours of the afternoon. So we're just hanging out, swimming off the boat during these hotter hours of the day, and then we're gonna head over there when these dragons are more active during the late afternoon to hopefully get some cool behaviors of them feeding along the beach, maybe even fighting. After what we filmed yesterday, I think anything's possible over on Komodo Island. Make sure you go check out part 1 if you want to see all of the craziness. So with roughly 20,000 people living within Komodo National Park and about 3,500 dragons left in the wild, surprisingly, attacks on humans are rarer than you'd think, but still occasionally happen. My friend Santi has been told a story from at least 3 different ranges of an attack involving 2 friends who took a small boat to Rincha Island, the same place where we filmed part 1 of this series. They were looking for honey in remote areas of this island, and at some point they decided to split up to cover more ground. While walking, one of them came across a massive dragon, and although he tried to move around it, he turned his back to this dragon for just a moment, and when he did, this dragon silently charged and attacked him. The man fought back, getting bitten multiple times, mostly around his legs. Because he was injured so badly, the man couldn't actually walk to safety, so they both decided that he should wait up a tree while his friend went and got help. 4 hours later, help arrived, and they found the man barely moving, with the dragon still waiting below the tree. He was rescued and taken to the nearest hospital, a journey that took around 7 hours from the initial attack. It's truly a miracle that he is alive. The man has since lost mobility, but he actually still lives in Komodo to this day. A reminder for all of us on this trip to be super careful while working with these big dragons. So the crazy thing about this landscape, right, is these dragons are living all up through these giant mountains. Matter of fact, the highest peak here on Komodo is about 800 meters, and they found dragon poo up the top there, meaning some dragon has made a giant 800-meter climb up all these escarpments to get to the top of the mountain for pretty much no reason. But this little beach that we're at right now is super cool because it's a private beach. Not too many people actually come here and get to film this little area, which is what I'm most excited about. And there's big dragons living in this little valley right here. Hopefully we'll be able to film them coming out into the beach. But yeah, it's good to be back on Komodo Island. Although we've seen so many Komodos so far, to be actually on the island that these creatures were first discovered in 1910 is pretty cool. See if we can find any. See. Now the thing about stepping foot onto Komodo at this time is the dragons have had a big day of resting in that really big heat. And now is the time that they'll come out, try get a last meal for the day before they rest all night again. Do the same thing tomorrow. Yeah, we got today and tomorrow left on the island, then that's it. Komodo 2024. We'll see what we can find. officially back on Komodo. So the sun's just setting at the moment. One thing that I'm really keen to do that we've got access to is flying the drone here and surveying these big grass hills that these Komodos are living on. Amazing species that I don't get to film too often, so when I do, mate, we're making the most of it. I'm not sure if there's a really good population of dragons here, but even if we could see one in this beach area, it would be super cool because they're dragons that don't see humans too much. The only people who really come here, fishermen and rangers around this area, lace up the boots, start walking. Is this?
Also,
dragon handprints. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
That's super cool. So there's the tail mark going through the middle and big dragon handprints, almost as big as my hand. So this could be a 2+ meter dragon. So although we're looking for these big dragons at the moment, what we're gonna do, even if we don't find any, we're gonna go herping later on tonight and try to catch some snakes. Blue viper is #1 on the list, but so many other deadly snakes that call these islands home. And tomorrow morning, we're gonna head to a place where we're definitely gonna see some big dragons before we start heading home. He's there, he's there. Change lens. Take a look at this just through here. We've got a little civet cat. Now he's walking along the floor, scavenging at the moment. No doubt when we spook this animal, I reckon he'll shoot straight up a tree because they're great climbers as well and go up into the treetops to not only collect fruit, but get away from predators. Especially if a big Komodo starts chasing him, he's going straight back up a tree. Pretty cool though, hey, look at the trees that the civet cat just ran up. In part 1 of this episode, we were finding these dragons in a really dry savanna-like area. We'll keep looking for the target species, but we'll never not stop to film a cool animal like that along the way. The amazing thing about planning these trips and coming out here to Indonesia, I love Indonesia. I've been here about 12 times in my life, and every time we come here, it's always about the amazing people that we meet and also having these experiences in nature with some of the coolest animals anywhere in the world. Like, these islands are the only place that has the world's largest venomous lizard. So to come out here and spend a short period of time documenting them and working with these dragons is super cool, and I'll definitely be back here one day. Always the goal when I come out to Komodo Island is to film 2 Komodos battling, and at a certain time of year they'll do that, so I'll be back, don't you worry. So it's the final night looking for snakes here in the Indonesian archipelago, and tonight's species could be the hardest one to find yet. It's a blue species of viper, and although it's a very vibrant color, they're not too common around these islands right here, but they're endemic to this area here in Indonesia. The blue insularis viper, a venomous species of viper that has 3 different color variations. The green, which is the easiest to find, the blue, which is 50-50, and the hardest color variation to track down around this area is yellow. Would be absolutely crazy if we found one of them, but tonight's goal is the blue. So where will these vipers likely be sitting at this time of night?
In our experience, normally the viper here is mostly not very high, even on the very low land.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so we're looking down around our feet and in the
Yes.
low shrubs
Yep.
to find these bright blue snakes.
Yep.
And do they stand out?
Still quite difficult. That's
Still
why,
difficult, yeah.
We will do like slowly walking, keep looking around, and hopefully we will have good lucky tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can get one on camera, because this is no doubt gonna be the most beautiful snake that I've ever filmed and that you guys have probably ever seen on this channel. Let's see if we can get one. Viper here, green viper, just on the floor here. Have a go at this little fella. So this is one of the color phases for the insularis viper, and we found him within the first 5 minutes of walking. No doubt we'll find a few other green ones tonight. Super cool, venomous species, and although it is venomous, if I got bitten by this snake, my hand would swell up for about a week. And generally, most of the time you'd be okay. And the funny thing about where we found this one is it wasn't in a tree, it wasn't even in a shrub close to the ground, it was literally sitting on the floor. We're gonna get him back out there. Okay. Oh, no way. I literally got that on camera as well. Take a look at that. The blue insularis viper. And we have found him out here on Padar Island. What an amazing color phase. And it's so crazy on an island like this. It's very dry at the moment here. Last time we came here, it was a lot greener, but they stand out like nothing. They're sitting on the floor. Within about 10 minutes, we found 2 different color phases. This isn't a very big insularis viper as well. They can get a lot bigger than this, but I mean, it's my first blue one out here in the Komodo archipelago. You can see it's so crazy. They're all just curled up on the floor, and he's onto it. Take a look at that snake right there. That is a massive snake. Big fella. He'd be eating full-size tokay geckos out here. Lots of amazing snakes since we've been over here in Indonesia, heading to Borneo, filming big king cobras and even Bornean keeled pit vipers. But to come here and top it off with some beautiful insularis over here on the way to Komodo Island is amazing. And obviously, you know, as these snakes are getting bigger, as we're finding them, their venom yields are getting bigger as well. So if you were bitten by a bigger snake like this, you'd have a lot worse of a reaction because there'd be a lot more venom that's actually pumped into you. I absolutely love vipers. They're a species that we don't have back in Australia. You know, the closest thing we have is maybe a death adder, and they're in a lapid too. So to come over here to Indonesia and find all of these awesome vipers, so cool. Really friendly snake. She was probably out here just trying to get a feed for the night, and we're gonna let her do that. So if we just put her down, you're right. Take a look at that. The second blue viper just sitting down on this little stick right here. And we've found both of the colors of vipers that are over here sitting within about 2 meters of each other. Get down with them. But take a look at this. 2 different colored vipers. We found 2 of the phases, 2 of the 3 phases that this island has to offer. Super cool. Okay, so we're just gonna pick this little green viper up, move it back up to the stick that we found it on, just over here. And you know what's crazy? Is if we walk just over this way, there's another viper sitting just down here in that striking position, looking for a feed as well. And we've ticked off pretty much every target species on this trip so far. So yeah, we're gonna head back to the boat, call it a night, Snake Island. So just over there is where these dragons should be this morning. Now, one thing that we focused on this trip is I didn't want to repeat the same video that we filmed last time. So we've been heading to different spots, trying to find these dragons in more wild locations. Because although you'll see a lot of them around the touristy areas, I wanted to find them out in the wild and film dragons that have never been filmed before. And this is our last morning to do it right here. We're gonna go on one more expedition, trekking through Komodo Island, trying to track down a dragon before we start traveling back to Australia. These are all remains from dragon kills. You can see the kind of creatures that these dragons are taking down out here. Monkeys, deer, and this one right here, even buffalo. It'd be crazy to see. The thing about it is they don't need to kill the animals and take them down straight away. Because they've got venom within their mouths, if they bite that buffalo, it's the days and weeks that follow that will cause a serious infection, and the buffalo will eventually die and all the dragons will come and eat it. Big dragon out on the floodplains this morning. We're just walking with him right now, but you can tell the temperament of this dragon. You know, he's hungry. And see? Gotta be super careful.
Careful, watch your back.
Wow. Walking with dinosaurs right now. Now he'd be out on these floodplains, the sun's just coming up on the last morning out here on Komodo, and he'd be looking for a feed. You can see him, what he's doing, flicking that forked tongue out. And what he'll actually do is he's gathering scent particles on that tongue, and he puts it back in his mouth and touches something called a Jacobson's organ. And that will tell him which way his food is, which way potential prey is. You can see. He's proper chasing me right now. Absolutely insane. Being chased by a big dragon like this. Now they can run a lot faster than this, you know. If he wanted to have a real go at me, he'd try, but at the moment, just in that hunting state of mind. And we're just crawling alongside this Komodo right now. If I get close enough, he's definitely going to chomp into me with those giant teeth. And what they're known to do is to not bite and let go. They've got backwards facing teeth, which allow those teeth to really dig in. So if he got a grab of my leg right now, he would chew that venom in. And it's the same thing that happens to a buffalo out in the wild. You know, what would happen is after he bites that buffalo, he would wait, and he'd wait for 2 or 3 weeks for that buffalo to die, hanging around that area. And no doubt within that time, the other dragons would find out that a kill is about to become available. So he's changed, you can see. From looking for food, he's seen me moving, and it's a trigger response in their brain. You know, they'll chase you, and these are wild dragons, not like the ones that are found closer to the village. They can actually run at about 20 kilometers an hour or 12 miles an hour. Luckily enough for me is I'm faster than that. The thing is, my cameraman might not be. So now the thing, if you're getting chased by a big dragon like this, you can remember that once they get to this size, they can't actually climb trees. When they're smaller, they are arboreal creatures, so they'll head straight up a tree and get away from a bigger dragon like this, trying to eat them because they're cannibalistic. You're right, mate. You're right. They got crazy eyes, hey? Absolutely insane look in their eyes. Nice sized dragon, And he's a battler as well. You can see scars all across his body, no doubt from fighting other dragons and catching buffalo. These are opportunistic feeders. So he's out here looking for anything. He's not necessarily out here hunting and trying to catch himself a buffalo or a wild pig, but he's looking for scraps. He's looking for little fish. And he's looking for me. You're right, mate. Pretty surreal feeling being chased by a big dragon like this. And you know, in 1910, there was a lieutenant who was living on the island of Flores, and he got word of a giant land crocodile that was living on a nearby island called Komodo. But he decided to go out on a bit of an expedition by himself and see if there was a big land crocodile living on that island. Not long after, he returned with not only a photo of the animal, but a skin as well. And a skin of this creature right in front of me right here. A few years later, they were formally described, and that's what this animal is, the Komodo Dragon. So what's the coolest thing that I've learned from spending the past 4 days living alongside these dragons? You know, these are such ancient creatures that have been here for a long time, the masters of their own domain. And with fossils of pygmy elephants and even a species of human known as Homo florensis that was roughly 3 foot tall being found within this group of islands, I want you to use your imagination and picture these beings walking alongside each other in a much different time on this planet. We live in such a magical place. So let's take care of it. That's it for another Komodo Island series. We'll be back here later on this year to film some more epic videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to support me. I truly appreciate all of you, and I'll see you all next week.